Hare Krishna. So we would like to welcome all the participants for this weekly association of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj. As we know that every Thursday we hear together from Guru Maharaj from 8 to 9 a.m. And today is the fourth session of seminar, Stories from Srimad Bhagavatam. We request all the devotees to kindly hear very attentively, and at the end there will be a quiz. So you are requested to very enthusiastically participate in the quiz. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatta Deshatarine Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Okay, so I will today, at least at the beginning, I'll just go to another section of Srimad Bhagavatam. This part actually is describing Vidura left home. How many of you remember that incident? Vidura left home. The kingdom of Hastinapur, the palace of Hastinapur. Once again, how many of you remember that incident? Very good. How many of you don't remember that incident or don't know the incident? How many of you want to hear that incident? Okay. So, Vidura is the half brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu. Dhritarashtra is the elder brother, and then the next is Pandu, and the youngest brother of these three. They all were actually sons of Vazdev. How many of you know that they are the sons of Vazdev? How many of you don't know that how they are the sons of Vazdev? Okay, so now it takes us to another area. How many of you want to hear? Okay, now I have to start telling the whole of Mahabharata. Okay. Let's start off with King Shantanu. Mind you, this is the history of India. Mahabharat. Mahabharat actually means the history of great India, which is actually the history of the entire earth planet. There was a very pious king. His name was Shantanu. And he hailed from this very illustrious Kuru dynasty. Kuru dynasty is the dynasty that hails from moon god Somdev. And they were ruling over the entire earth planet. Like previously, there used to be one ruler for the entire planet. In other planets also, it's like the sun planet is ruled by Vivaswan. Moon planet is ruled by Somdev. Similarly, Brihaspati planet is ruled by Brihaspati. Similarly, heavenly planet, Swargaloka, is ruled by Indra. Similarly, the earth planet used to be ruled by one ruler. It's only in the age of Kali, the planet has become fragmented and there is no ruler. From one ruler, there had become many rulers, and now there is no ruler. And everybody is a ruler. Democracy means everybody is a king. Everybody is a king, and they appoint somebody for 4 years or 5 years. And by electing that person, they allow him to exploit them. Anyway, this is the situation of the age of Kali, what to do. So that was not the case in the past. In the past, the entire planet used to be ruled by one ruler. And Shantanu was such a ruler. So while Shantanu was hunting in the forest, he used to be very fond of hunting. And while he was hunting in the forest, he came across an extremely beautiful looking girl. And he asked her who she was. He proposed that whether she would marry him. And she agreed on a condition that he would never question her actions. And he would never prevented her from doing what she wanted to do. So Shantanu agreed. And he got married to this particular lady. Who is this lady? She is Ganga Devi herself. So Shantanu got married to Ganga. Now that also leads us to another incident in the past. That incident is, there are a set of demigods called Vasus. There are 8 of them. They're known as Ashtavashus, Vasus. And these Vasus, along with their wives, they were flying over Vashishta Muni's ashram. And in Vashishta Muni's ashram, they saw this beautiful cow. This cow is the daughter of Surabhi. The name of the cow is Nandini. So one of the Vasu's wife wanted to have the cow. And they said, look, this cow belongs to Vashishta, and we should not try to take that. But she kept on insisting, no, I want this cow, I want this cow. So they decided to take the cow without Vashishta's knowledge. At that time, Vashishta was not in the ashram. So when Vashishta came back, he found that the cow Nandini was missing. And so he sat down in his meditation and he saw what happened. He saw these Vasus came and stole the cow. So he felt that these demigods, Vasus, they are not fit to live in the heavenly planets. Their nature is not befitting a demigod's nature. So Vashishta cursed them that you go and take birth in the earth planet. So when the Vasus got to know about that, they came to Vashishta and pleaded, please forgive us, we made a mistake. Vashishta said that when a word leaves my mouth is bound to come true. So what I have said is bound to happen. You have to take birth in the earth planet as human beings. But you can be delivered right after your birth. You'll take birth, but right after your birth, you will leave. You will come back to the heavenly planet. But the one who stole the cow, he'll have to stay there for a long, long time. So they didn't want to take birth in any ordinary womb. So they appealed to Mother Ganga. Can you please bear us as your children? Because we have been cursed, and please, you become our mother and bear us and give us birth in the earth planet as human beings. So Ganga agreed. Now that takes us back to another incident. There was a very pious king. This king had been elevated due to his pious activities. He was elevated to the Brahma Loka, Satta Loka, the abode of Lord Brahma. And so he was in the assembly of Lord Brahma. At that time, Ganga came carrying the water for Brahma's worship of the Lord. She personally brought the water. And at that time, in a wind, her sari got displaced, and her breast became exposed. And when everyone looked downwards, this king kept on looking at her. So Brahma noticed that, and Brahma said, you are not fit to live in Satyaloka. Go back to the earth planet. But since you desired Ganga, you will get her as your wife. So this particular king was born as Shantanu. And by the divine arrangement, Ganga now became his wife. And these Vasus also wanted to be born by Ganga, so Ganga agreed to bear them. And that's why Ganga made that condition. So they got married, a child was born. Can you imagine what kind of festivity takes place when a child is born in a family? The first child is born, not in the family of an ordinary person. He was born as the son of the king. But Ganga took the child, walked up to the river, and dropped the child in the water. You can well imagine the condition of everyone there at that time. Shantanu remembered his condition and didn't question, didn't stop her. In this way, one after another, 7 children, right after their birth, were drowned in the river. Now you consider how, when you look at things from a broader perspective, what a clearer picture we get. The background story is that they were cursed to take birth and they will be delivered right after their birth. It is a benediction for them. But here it is such a terrible act. Right after the birth of the child, the mother is drowning the child in the river. But when the 8th child was born, king couldn't prevent himself. He said, "How can you do this? Please spare this child." And she said, "Fine. I will spare this child, but I have to leave now." So, and she said, "I'll take this child with me until he grows up, and when he grows up, I'll send him back to you." Saying that, Ganga left, went back to the spiritual world. Now, who is this one? The 8th one, 8th Vasu, who stole the cow and who was cursed to be here for a long, long time. And who is this? This is Devavrata. And when he was 16 years old, in the meantime, Shantanu was very heartbroken. His wife left him with the son. And one day, he used to be very fond of hunting. So one day when he was hunting in the forest, then all of a sudden he noticed that the river Ganga is not flowing. And so he became curious. So he started to move towards that, towards upstream. And then he found that one young boy, by shooting arrows, he is preventing the flow of Ganga. The river is flowing, but the river stopped because of this boy. By shooting arrows, he is stopping the movement. So he was surprised to see who this boy. I mean, such an amazing skill in warfare, using weapons, using arrows. So then Ganga came out, said, "This is your son. Now I came to return him to you." So this boy, who was named as Devavrata, became very, very fond of his father, and the father also became very fond of him. So they became inseparable personalities. They're constantly together, all the time. And Shantanu in his son found a son, a friend, a companion. Then one day, Shantanu was hunting in the forest, and all of a sudden he smelled some beautiful fragrance. And he became curious to find out where the fragrance was coming from. So when he went to the source of that fragrance, he found an extremely beautiful girl. She was taking the passengers, taking the people across the river in a boat. So he approached her, I want to marry you. She said, well, please speak to my father. So Shantanu went and spoke to the father. This girl happens to be the daughter of the king of the fishermen. And she was blessed by Parasar Muni that she will have the fragrance from her body that would spread up to 1 yojana radius. 1 yojana is 4 crores, that is 8 miles. In 8 mile radius, that fragrance of lotus. Therefore, her name became Padma Gandha or Jojan Gandha, whose fragrance would spread for 1 yojana. So King Shantanu approached the king of the fishermen, and the king of the fishermen said, look, I can give you my daughter. It's a great honor to me. The king is asking me for my daughter. But I can offer her to you only on one condition, that her son has to become the ruler of the kingdom. Her son has to become the king. Shantanu said, look, I already have a son who has already been coronated in the throne. He said, bad luck. I can't offer you my daughter. So heartbroken, King Shantanu went back to his kingdom, his palace. And Devavrata noticed that his father looked so morose. So he asked him, and he said, no, nothing happened. Everything is all right. He didn't want to admit anything. So he went and asked the chariot driver, tell me, did something happen today that my father is so depressed? So he said, yes. And he narrated the whole incident. So he said, can you tell me where it is? So he said, yes. So please take me to that Dhivara Raj, the king of the fishermen. So Devavrata went to him, and he said, look, your father did approach, but you see, the astrological chart, astrological calculation says that my daughter's son will become the king. Therefore, I laid that condition that her son has to be the king. So that is the destiny, that is the divine arrangement. So I have to give my daughter to somebody where her son is going to become the king. So Bhishma said, okay, then I relinquish my right to the kingdom. So he said, okay, fine, very nice. But what about your children? You may relinquish your right over the kingdom, but your children, when they grow up, then they'll start fighting over the kingdom. Then Bhishma said, in that case, I will not get married. Now, it is a terrible vow for a warrior, for a kshatriya. Meaning those who are in the mode of passion, for them to control their urges is very, very difficult. especially living in such luxury, surrounded by all these beautiful women, and the whole atmosphere is so provocative. In that atmosphere, to remain a celibate, remain a brahmachari is very, very difficult. So because he took such a terrible vow, the demigods started to exclaim, Bhishma, Bhishma, meaning what a terrible vow he has taken. And at the same time, they started to shower flowers from the heaven. And that is how he got the name Bhishma. So in this way, the arrangement was made for Shantanu to marry this girl whose actual name was Satyavati. So, Satyavati, through Satyavati, Shantanu, anyway, so Bhishma, so in this way, Bhishma actually took that vow of it, lifelong celibacy. Then through Satyavati, Shantanu got two sons, Chitrangada and Vichitravirja. Chitrangada was a very powerful person. He became the king after Shantanu left this planet. But then this Chitrangada got into a conflict with a Gandharva king whose name was also Chitrangada. Actually, the Chitrangada's fame was spreading so widely everywhere, even in the heavenly planets, that this Gandharva king Chitrangada became envious. So he confronted him. He said, look, there has to be one Chitrangada. So let's fight. And they fought for a long, long time. But finally, Chitrangada, the son of Shantanu, succumbed and he was killed. Then his younger brother, Vichitravirja, became the king. Now, when one ascends the throne, the king has to get married. Generally, one has to be married when he ascends the throne. But he was a young boy. So Bhishma decided that selecting, considering different qualified candidates for his marriage, he considered that the three daughters of Kashiraj are the suitable candidate. They're extremely beautiful, extremely qualified, and they were actually the incarnations of Durga Devi. So Bhishma decided to have them as the bride for Vichitravirja. So Bhishma, at that time, these three girls were to select their husbands. The Kshatriyas also has a culture or custom of selecting their own husband according to their choice. And many kings are invited, kings and princes. And the princess selects her husband. And it's a terrible culture actually. Like, you see, there are so many kings and princes, and so they all actually came to win this girl, and she selects one of them. So then generally, all the other kings attack him. Because the Kshatriyas are like that. That's the nature of a warrior. And so, not only win the girl, now they have to conquer these other kings to have her. That used to generally happen. Like other kings would attack, and that's what happened. And actually, when Bhishma came, he arrived in that assembly and he announced, everybody was surprised. So Bhishma, who had the vow not to ever get married, look at him. And maybe he got bewildered by the beauty of these princesses. And they started to laugh at him and passing remarks. Then Bhishma said, I am such and such, son of Shantanu, from such and such dynasty, Chandravamsa. My brother Vichitravirja, he is the successor to the throne, and I have come to claim these 3 girls for him. So if anybody wants to stop me, good luck. So this is how Bhishma made the challenge. And saying that, he picked up these 3 girls on the chariot and he moved. So all the other kings attacked him, but Bhishma fought alone and defeated all of them. The one who was really completely vicious in challenging Bhishma and fighting with him was a king Shalva. And Shalva, Amba, the eldest daughter, already selected him as her husband. So she gave her heart to Shalva. So Bhishma, when he was taking, after defeating Shalva, Bhishma was taking the girls, princesses, and he brought them to the kingdom. So then Amba, the eldest of the 3, told that, look, I gave my heart already to Shalva. So then Bhishma consulted the brahmanas, the wise brahmanas there in the assembly, what to do. And they all said, okay, if she has already given her heart to him, then let her go to him. So Bhishma let her go. So she went to Shalva, proposing that, look, I gave my heart to you and please accept me. So Shalva, this is another nature of the Kshatriyas. Actually, from these anecdotes, we can get to see the noble characters of these personalities. Shalva said, look, a lion never eats others' remnants. And that's the nature of a lion. Lion kills the animal itself, and it only eats that animal that it has killed. Otherwise, a lion in wilderness will not touch the animal that has been killed by others. So saying that he meant that you have been won by him, he has taken you, so now you are doing me a charity. Oh, take her back. She said, no, get lost. Rather go and ask him to marry you. Because he has claimed you, he has taken you. So Amba then went back to Bhishma and said, you have to marry me. Shalva didn't accept me. Then Bhishma said, look, I took a vow of lifelong celibacy. I'm not going to marry anyone. She said, when you lifted me on the chariot holding my hand, by that action you have actually accepted me. So this is also how pure the Vedic culture is. That when somebody holds a woman by hand, that means he has accepted her as his wife. So she said, look, he rejected me, you are not accepting me, tell me what shall I do? So Bhishma was feeling sad for her. Look, what can I do? I have taken a vow and I cannot break my vow. So heartbroken, this girl went to her grandfather, who was in the forest and who was taken Vanaprastha life, and he was living in a forest. So she went and told him the whole incident. So he said, don't worry, Parashuram is Bhishma's guru. And Parashuram is my friend. So I'll ask Parashuram to do something. Ask Parashuram to ask him to marry you. So Parashuram came and her grandfather told Parashuram. So Parashuram said, okay, don't worry, I will ask him. So to marry you. So Parashuram went to Bhishma and said, Bhishma, marry this girl. She's so qualified, so beautiful. Bhishma said, look, I have taken a vow of lifelong celibacy. He said, that's all right, that's all right. I'm your guru, I'm instructing you. So you can break your vow. Bhishma said, no, I can't. I've taken a vow and I'm going to stick to my vow. And he actually said some very, very heavy stuff at that time. He said, if the guru doesn't know what to do or not to do, that guru should be rejected. Gururapyavaliptasya karjakarjam ajanata utpatha pratipannasya parittyaga hi vidhiyate. Parittyaga means reject. Parshuram got very, very angry. He said, come fight with me. So Parshuram is actually Bhishma's Astra Shiksha Guru. He taught him the art of fighting. And they fought for a long, long time. No one could defeat anyone. They are equally powerful. And at one point Parshuram asked, Bhishma, I'm really happy with you, with your warfare. Ask for a benediction. Then Bhishma said, if you want to give me a benediction, then stop fighting. Give me that benediction. So Parshuram stopped fighting and he went and told Amba, Amba, see, I tried my best, but I couldn't do anything. So saying that, Parshuram left. And Amba also, you have to remember, she's a Kshatriya woman. Not only the Kshatriya men have the attitude of revenge, she also. So she decided to give up her body in order to kill Bhishma. So she entered into fire. And this Amba actually became Shikhandi, the son of King Draupadi. Anyway, so then Vichitravirja got married to Ambika and Ambalika, and he became so attached to them, and like he was spending all his time with them, and eventually he developed tuberculosis and he died. Now, the family line is broken. No one is there to continue the family line. So, Satyavati requested Bhishma to get married for the sake of maintaining the family. Bhishma said, no, I can't. Then Satyavati told, okay, in that case, you procreate in the womb of these two queens, Ambika and Ambalika. Because in the Vedic culture, this is also accepted, that when there is a need like this, when the husband dies, then the brother can actually procreate in the womb of the departed brother's wife's womb. So Bhishma was asked to do that. Bhishma declined. No, I can't. And at that time, Satyavati told him, when she saw that Bhishma is undaunted, and then she said that, look, when I was a young girl, once Parashar Muni came to cross the river, and being attracted by me, he wanted my company, and as a result of that, a son was born. And but although the son was born, my chastity was intact. So these great personalities act on the arrangement of providence with certain purpose. And this personality, the son that was born, is Vazdev. So she said, in that sense, Vazdev is the half brother of Vichitravijaya, my son. So it was decided, then Bhishma said, then call him. Let him procreate. A personality like Vazdev, if he procreates in the womb, that will be the best thing. And so Vazdev was called, and so Vazdev agreed, but he made a condition that let them first get purified. Let them get purified for 1 year before they conceive. So he's told that I'll come after 1 year. So these girls were told that Ambika, and Ambika was actually hoping when she heard that her husband's brother is coming, so she thought it was Bhishma. But then she saw Vasudev, a fierce-looking sage who lives in the forest, long beard and matted hair, copper complexion, burning like fire, and extremely powerful, like eyes are beautiful eyes, but glowing like two burning cinders, and such powerful form. Seeing that, she closed her eyes. So after that, when Vasudev came out, Satyavati asked whether everything was all right. So he said, yes, everything was all right. A son will be born, extremely powerful. He'll have the strength of 10,000 elephants. He'll be so strong. But he'll be blind. Because she closed her eyes, therefore he'll be blind. So then Satyavati requested, then please have another son, because the blind son cannot become the successor to the throne. So Vasudev agreed, and in the womb of Ambalika, he produced Pandu. Seeing Vasudev, she didn't close her eyes, but her complexion, she became pale. Like out of fear, one becomes pale, all the color disappears from the body. That's what happened to her. So Vasudev said that this son will be extremely virtuous, but his complexion will be pale. So then Satyavati asked, please have another son. So this time, when Ambika was told to conceive another child, Ambika felt that she can't face that situation. So she got her maidservant, also a very beautiful looking woman, but she was attending her, extremely qualified girl. And this girl treated Vasudev very nicely, and as a result of that, Vidura was born. So this is how the three brothers came from Vasudev. And because Vidura was born in the womb of a maidservant, Although they're called maidservant, they're actually the companions, coming from big, nice family, good families. But because they're attending the queen, often they actually come, they're childhood friends. They grow up together. And when they get married, along with the princess, her friends also come to the house and they kind of attend the queen. So in that way, it is like they're Sudrani. So Vidura was considered to be the son of a Sudra. Now Dhritarashtra is blind, Pandu was pale, but Pandu was extremely powerful personality. When he was ruling the kingdom, I mean the kingdom was prospering like anything. And Vidura was extremely wise. Vidura was the son of Dharmaraj, Jamraj, the incarnation of Jamraj. And anyway, so, and Vidura was Yudhishthir Maharaj, I'm sorry, Dhritarashtra was blind and Vidura was his constant companion. He was his brother, he was his friend, he was his advisor, he was his minister. And so when the Pandavas, now let's come back to the main story. The Pandavas were fighting. The Pandavas claimed their kingdom, came back. Pandavas were already defeated in a game of deceitful dice. It was played by Shakuni, who was a wizard in the game of dice. And Pandavas lost everything. Just in a few hours' time, they lost everything, their kingdom, their wealth, even their brothers. Yudhishthir Maharaj became so carried away in such a way that when he lost everything, he started to stake his brothers. Nakul, Sahadev, Arjun, Bhim. Then finally he staked Draupadi. And he lost Draupadi also. And that is the time, as you know, Draupadi now became the property of Duryodhan. And Draupadi was brought into this assembly by Dushashan, holding her by her hair, dragged her into the assembly. The five brothers, the greatest warriors of all time, just sat there with their eyes downcast when their wife was being insulted in this way in the assembly. So this is also another aspect of Vedic culture. They're extremely truthful. In a game of dice, they lost Draupadi. Now they're also the slaves of the Pandavas, Duryodhan. And so it's not appropriate, it's not proper for a servant to stand up against the master. Even when their wife was being insulted in this way, they didn't stand up against him. But due to the intervention of the seniors, it was considered that let there be another game, and in this game, if they win, they'll get everything back. But if they lose, then they have to go to exile for 12 years. And for 1 year, they have to remain incognito. And if anyone during this 1 year's time is recognized, if any one of these five brothers and Draupadi, then the condition will repeat. Another 12 years of exile and 1 year in incognito. Duryodhana was confident that these five brothers and Draupadi, they are so well known and they are so outstanding that wherever they are, they'll be recognized. Draupadi will be recognized for her beauty, and the Pandavas will be recognized by their valor. And so after these 12 years of exile and 1 year of incognito, when they came back, Duryodhana refused to give the kingdom back on the plea that 13 years was not yet complete. This also is another story. But anyway, I won't go into that. Or should I briefly tell you? Huh? No or yes? Okay, how many yes? Okay. So for this 1 year that they were supposed to remain incognito, they went to the palace of King King Virat. And one after another they went in disguise. Yudhishthir Maharaj went as an expert dice player. The king, Virat, was very fond of playing dice. So he just immediately accepted, oh, you can be my companion. So he accepted him. Now, see, everybody knew that Yudhishthir Maharaj was the worst dice player on the planet. And now he is such an expert dice player because he had been blessed by a great personality that he would become an expert in playing dice. Then Bhima went there as a cook. Arjun was blessed, or not blessed, cursed by Urvashi that for 1 year he would become an eunuch. And that's another story. I'm not going into that. And so Arjun for 1 year became an eunuch. And Nakul became the stableman, the expert horse trainer. And Shahadev went as the keeper of the Goshala, an expert of cow keeping. So 5 brothers in this way went to King Virat's, and Draupadi became a hairdresser, Brihannala. I'm sorry, Draupadi. Anyway, yeah. So this is how they went there and stayed in disguise. Started to stay in the palace of Virat in disguise. They went through a lot of tribulations during that time, especially Draupadi. This way we can see that how difficult it is for a beautiful young girl to be unprotected. So that's why the Vedic culture is that young girls should always be protected. And this is one unfortunate state of affairs in this age, that young girls are taken out of their house and into jobs and all. So, but that is completely opposed to the Vedic culture. In Vedic culture, a woman is always protected. In her childhood, she is protected. In her youth, she is protected. In her old age, she is protected. That is the Vedic culture.
Hare Krishna. So thank you very much everyone for patient hearing. We have a quiz, just I'm sharing. Okay, so there are 6 questions today because it was very nice session was given by Guru Maharaj. So the first question is, all the devotees are requested they can type the answer in the chat only. So the first question is, King Santanu hails from Dash dynasty, which is descending from Dash god. Okay, yeah. So it is Guru Maharaj told King Shantanu hails from Kuru dynasty, which is descending from moon god. Thank you. Next question. Yeah. Next question. Vasus took birth in the womb of Dash because they were cursed by Dash. So you'll have to write both the answers. Okay. Ganga, Brahma, Ganga, Vashist. Okay. Okay, thank you. So the correct answer is Ganga and Vashista. So thank you very much. Next is, why demigods called Bhishma's vow as terrible vow? Guru Maharaj gave one reason why Bhishma's vow is called a terrible vow by the demigods. Okay, you can write, yeah. Vow of celibacy, being a Kshatriya, celibacy being a Kshatriya because not to get married. Okay, yeah. Okay, more accurate answer. It's not there in the chat. Yeah, little correct due to passion. Yeah. Okay, let's see the correct answer what Guru Maharaj told. For passionate to control his urge is very difficult. So being a Kshatriya, he was having all the facilities for enjoyment, but still he chose not to accept just for the pleasure of his father. Okay, the next question is, who killed elder brother of Vichitravirya? Who or how the elder brother of Vichitravirya was killed? Okay, tuberculosis, Gandharva, Vichitravirya, Chitrangad. Okay, so many answers. Yeah, Chitrangad, King Chitrangad. Okay, Chitrangad of heaven. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's see what is the correct answer. Who killed the elder brother of Vichitravir? He was the Gandharva named Chitrangad. So the same name was there, and he challenged only one can exist, and they fought for 1,000 years. Okay, the next question. Vichitravir was married to Dash. Vichitravir, who was the younger brother of Chitrangad, was married to. Okay, okay, yeah. Yeah, the two answers are there. Yeah, very good. So you can see what is the correct answer. Thank you. Ambika and Ambalka, they both of them was married to Vichitravira. So one last question. No, so second last question. Vidura was born from A, B, C, D. Which is correct? I'll have to just write A, B, C, D, whatever is correct. Somebody wrote C, D, none, D, D, D. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So let's see the answer. Vidura was born from none of the above. Thank you. Our last question. Okay, it's over. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So we thanks all the devotees who took out their time and regularly they are coming for this weekly session, and we express our heartfelt gratitude to Srila Guru Maharaj for giving his wonderful association to all of us. And we are seeing while Guru Maharaj was giving seminar, many devotees were taking notes. So this is what Guru Maharaj wanted, that whenever, like many times he told in the class as well. So thank you very much for inspiring by your wonderful example. So the devotees are kindly requested to join the next session on the next Thursday, and kindly inform all the devotees who wish to attend this session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Param Puja Shri Srimad Bhakti Charu Swami Guru Maharaj ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.